Yes, children. Let us see today the structure of benzene. Okay. Now, molecular formula of benzene is found to be C6H6. Based on various properties, they have found out that the benzene ring, the benzene molecule is having 6 carbon atoms and 6 hydrogen atoms. Okay. Now, this C6H6, it implies that it is an unsaturated hydrocarbon. Because if you consider for 6 carbon atoms, if it was an alkane, then there would be 14 hydrogen atoms. Okay. But since it is having only 6, so for the number of carbon atoms present, the number of hydrogen is insufficient. So it should be an unsaturated hydrocarbon. That was decided. And moreover, this unsaturation was supported by a few properties. One was when it was treated with hydrogen in the presence of nickel as catalyst, it gave cyclohexane. It could add up 3 molecules of hydrogen and it became C6H12. Okay, so this is a property which shows that double bonds are there or unsaturation is there. That is why 3 hydrogen molecules have been taken up. Same way, it also reacted with chlorine in the presence of sunlight to give C6H6Cl6, which is called as benzene hexachloride, and commercially it is also called as gamaxine, which is an insecticide. So it was reacting with chlorine in the presence of sunlight to give an addition product. You know that unsaturated hydrocarbons, they undergo addition reaction. So here also addition has taken place, here also addition has taken place. And moreover, when benzene was subjected to ozonolysis, it gave a triozonide. We'll discuss the structure of this triozonide later, okay, once we understand the structure of benzene. So all these properties supported that benzene is a unsaturated hydrocarbon. Okay. Now, this benzene, it is also showing substitution reaction like halogenation, nitration, sulfonation, alkylation, acylation. All these reactions, they are all substitution reactions in which the hydrogen atom is substituted by, say, a chlorine or a NO2 group or SO3H group or an alkyl group like CH3, C2H5. Okay, so they are all substitution reactions in which C6H6A1 hydrogen is replaced by any of these groups. And then it is also resistant to oxidation. It does not decolorize alkaline KMnO4. We have studied, no, in 10th class also, alkenes and alkynes, they decolorize alkaline KMnO4 and they also decolorize bromine water. But benzene is not decolorizing it. That means it is not showing the property of unsaturation. But with very powerful oxidizing agents, it is very slowly oxidized to carbon dioxide and water. Now, so it is showing substitution reaction also, it is showing addition reaction also. Now, based on all these properties, a scientist by name Kekule in year 1865, he proposed a structure for benzene. In that structure, he says that there are 6 carbon atoms attached by means of alternate single and double bonds. He says that the 6 carbon atoms are attached by alternate single and double bonds to form a hexagonal ring, and each carbon is also possessing a hydrogen. So this is the structure that he gave, a hexagonal ring. Now each vertex, this is carbon. You have double and then single bond and then double and then single, like that, alternating double and single bond, and each carbon is holding on to a hydrogen. So this is the structure that he proposed, the scientist by name Kekule. Now, there were 3 objections to Kekule's structure. What were the objections? Why does it show a remarkable stability towards oxidizing agents? Why it is not getting oxidized? Why it is resistant to oxidation in spite of 3 double bonds? You know, unsaturated hydrocarbons, they are highly susceptible to oxidation. So in such a case, why it is showing such a remarkable stability? This was one question. Then different X-ray diffraction studies showed that CC bond length is same. See, it is a hexagonal ring. I told you that he proposed double and single bonds. In that case, double bond length should be different, single bond length should be different. But all the CC bonds in this particular molecule, it was 139 picometer. All were same, which is neither of a single bond length as in the case of ethane or any other alkane, nor the C double bond C bond length in the case of ethene or any other alkene. So it was not CC single bond length, it was not CC double bond length, but it is something different, which is 139. Then another one was, it was making only one mono-substituted product and two di-substituted products. That is what I mean is, say for example, if I give you chloropropane. Now chloropropane, you can have chlorine at number 1 position. You may also have chlorine at number 2 position. So the position of functional group may change. This is also a mono-substituted product. This is also a mono-substituted product. But in the case of alkanes, you are able to have two different compounds having the same functional group but at two different positions. But if you consider this benzene ring, like I put chlorine here, or I put chlorine here, this is also chlorobenzene, this is also chlorobenzene, or this chlorine wherever I put, it is chlorobenzene only. But here you see, this is 1 chloropropane, this is 2 chloropropane. So whatever be the position of chlorine in that benzene ring, that is assigned the number 1. So you call it as chlorobenzene only. So there is only one mono-substituted product. Okay? But di-substituted products are 2 in number. Look here. Now this is a di-substituted product. Now here look at the position of this chlorine. This carbon and this carbon, they are held by means of a single bond. This is one way of representing a di-substituted product. Now look at this structure. This is the carbon and this is the carbon holding the 2 chlorine atoms, but they are held by a CC double bond. Now this is also a di-substituted product. Okay. So there are 2 di-substituted products, but there is only one single mono-substituted product. But unfortunately, these two, they cannot exist individually. Like I cannot have a molecule of this kind, I cannot have a molecule of this separately, individually existing. So what he said that these two are in dynamic equilibrium with each other. That is why the sign I put here. He said that these two molecules, they are existing in dynamic equilibrium with each other. So what does it show? This particular aspect shows that the position of double and single bonds, they are not fixed, but they oscillate back and forth between the adjacent positions. That means the double bond, supposing if I number it like this, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So the double bond here, I am showing it to be between 1 and 6, 4 and 5, 2 and 3. But here, if I number it like this, the position of chlorine is at 1 and 6. Here it was at 1 and 2. Right? So the double bonds, either it may be between 1 and 6 or it may also be between 1 and 2. So it is oscillating back and forth. And now This carbon of benzene ring, it is sp2 hybridized. Now how it is sp2 hybridized? Now if you take the structure of this benzene as a hexagonal ring, this carbon is holding on to a hydrogen. It is attached to another carbon and another carbon on this side. So it is attached to basically 3 atoms. 3 atoms means sp2 hybridization. So each carbon is sp2 hybridized and each carbon is possessing one unhybridized p orbital. Okay, each carbon is possessing one unhybridized p orbital in which one single electron is there. Now, these sp2 hybrid orbitals of this carbon, there are 3, is it not? One here and one here and one here. Now this sp2 hybrid orbital is overlapping with the spherically symmetrical s orbital of hydrogen, and this sp2 hybrid orbital is overlapping with the sp2 hybrid orbital of the adjacent carbon, and this sp2 hybrid orbital is overlapping with the sp2 hybrid orbital of the adjacent carbon. Now you see here very clearly it is planar. The angle here is 120 degrees. This is also 120, this is also 120, this is also 120. So the bond angle CH with CC, it is 120. Again CH with CC is 120. CC with CC is also 120. This is also 120. Okay. So with the result, what you see here is there are 2 CC sigma bonds and 1 CH sigma bond with respect to each and every carbon atom. This is one CC sigma bond, this is another CC sigma bond, and this is CH sigma bond at 120 degrees. Now there is an unhybridized p orbital with each and every carbon. Now remember that. So what you see is there are 6 CC sigma bonds and 6 CH sigma bonds all lying in one single plane, and each carbon is left with one unhybridized p orbital with one electron in it, and these p orbitals are parallel to one another, but they are also perpendicular to the plane of the sigma bonded hexagonal structure. Now like here, I tried to show here, I'll show you in the book. Now this is the structure, the sp2 overlap, here also sp2 overlap, here sp2 with s orbital overlap. So this is how it is present, and there is a p orbital which is having an unpaired electron with each and every carbon. Now this is the unhybridized p orbital of every carbon. Now they are all parallel to each other. All these are parallel to each other. Okay. Now they are parallel to each other, but they are perpendicular to the plane of the ring. Right. Now when you see these two unhybridized p orbitals having one electron each, they may overlap among themselves. If these two are overlapping, then these two are overlapping and these two are overlapping. That means there will be a double bond here, there will be a double bond here, there will be a double bond here. That is what he has shown here, here and here. Now you may also expect, if this can overlap, this may also overlap, and this will overlap, and these two will overlap like this. In such a case, the double bonds will be positioned like this. Is that clear? So now what they say, the double bond, it could make with this carbon also, it could make with this carbon also, the unhybridized p orbital. With the result, what they say, you are having each carbon associated with one p orbital having one electron each. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So there are 6 electrons which are involved in the pp pi bond formation. How many electrons? There are 6 pi electrons, you call it. Now this 6 pi electrons, they form an electron cloud and they are supposedly present in the form of 2 ring-like structures, one ring above the plane and one ring below the plane. It is something like duff nut, what you eat. Is that clear? So now here what you have to understand, the 2 p orbitals, that is the unhybridized p orbital, they are not confined to a single pi bond. That means it is not that forever these two will only overlap. These two can also overlap. Is that clear? So they are not confined to a single pi bonded structure between 2 carbon atoms, but they are involved in more than one pi bond. It may be overlapping of pi orbitals here, or it may also be overlap of p orbitals here. That means these pi electrons, they are not fixed to one particular position, they are delocalized. कभी इसके साथ ये overlap करता है, कभी इसके साथ overlap करता है. That means it is not sticking to this particular position. It is bending towards this sometimes, it is bending towards this sometimes. This is what you call it as back and forth. Right? This is what you call it as delocalization. The electrons are not localized, they are not at fixed positions, they are delocalized. Now these delocalized electrons, how many electrons are there? 6. हर कार्बन के साथ एक एक unhybridized p orbital है जिसमें एक इलेक्ट्रॉन है. So total of 6 electrons are there and all these 6 electrons are delocalized. And all these 6 electrons are attracted equally by all the 6 carbon atoms. All the 6 electrons of the unhybridized p orbital, they are attracted by every carbon equally which are present in the benzene ring, because of which all the carbon atoms, carbon-carbon single bond length has been found to be same, that is 139. That is why they are equivalent, and the dipole moment of the molecule is also 0. Okay, so this is the basic structure of benzene ring.